Good morning, that was fun. Today, Councilmember Hertzog was in a crash this morning. She's okay, we've heard. David is online, so he can assist us if needed. We also have Gina that's gonna help me, and then, Ms. Catherine Coyle is excused today, so it is me.
You got it.
For action items, we will, skip the minutes. But just bear with me as we go through, so thank you. So I will call the roll call. Councilmember Lynn Hertzog. Yanika Mills,
Present.
Caroline Seacom. David Hay,
Online.
Emily Hinsdale,
Here.
Danielle Riffenberg. Anna Grunman,
Here.
Karen Kratz,
Here.
Rebecca Hetzinger,
Here.
Omar Pirzada,
Here.
Marie Bowen, Nicole Dufa,
Here.
Gloria Belangia,
Here online.
Parag Knack, sorry if I missed.
Here online.
Una Johnson. Catherine Coyle. Arizona Jenkins. Gus Ignis. Ashley Anderson. Debbie Roney. We are one short for quorum, but that's okay. All right. So the next is the Pledge of Allegiance. Standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, public comment. Is everybody here for public comment? We're online. All right, seeing none, we're going to skip approval of the minutes and go to status reports. So we have Mark Callow with Community Enterprise presenting on the Enterprise Van Pool and Commuter Choices.
Thank you, Connor, and thank you for everyone letting me come today to introduce you or reintroduce you to our van pool program that we have here. So currently we are partnered with PSTA. You can see the 5 counties that we do partner in. And if someone is located outside of one of these counties, they are still able to use the van pool program through the PSTA program. The program works wherever the employer is located. So if the employer is located here in Hillsborough, anybody traveling to that employer will be part of the PSTA program. You can see we're lucky enough to have this partnership, and they help subsidize $500 per month for every van pool that goes on the road. So PSTA is directly paying us the first $500 to bring down the cost for the end users, which goes a long way. Now, getting into some commuter trends that we are seeing here, and I'd love to start with the return to office and the flexible work situation that we are now seeing a lot of companies are in. For you, those of you that have known van pooling in the past, it was always a 5-day-a-week to and from work program. Well, I am happy to tell you all that as of February, we rolled out a new flexible van pool program where riders can pay for as many days of the week as they need to use the van pool. So hybrid workers or workers who might need to do something after work a couple days a week and only want to use the van pool 2 or 3 days a week, they can now just pay for those days that they are using the van pool. So this opens us up to helping out a lot more employees in our community. What does that mean with the return to office with all of us that are traveling on the roads? there's a lot more congestion on the road. So van pooling is a great way to help eliminate those vehicles on the road. Now that we're seeing a lot more people are not working from home and they're going back into the office. A couple numbers here that stand out to me. 19% of an employer's salary spent on commuting. That's almost a fifth of their salary they are spending on commuting. As well as minutes of the day commuting, 55 minutes per day. That's a lot of time that, again, these workers who are used to working from home now ever since the pandemic, they are now spending that time in their vehicle and driving. So how do a workforce help these employees save on that time and get some of that time back in their day? Vanpool is a great option for that. Instead of driving to and work 5 days a week, they might only have to drive one day a week now, and they can be a rider the other days. They can watch Netflix while they're riding, listen to a podcast, or even get work done. So they're able to get some of that important time back in their day. The employer part, the employer impact, it's not just transportation challenges that we want to help these employers at. A lot of times when I first meet with an employer or first introduced to the program, transportation is the main thing that they're thinking about. But a Vanpool program can help with more than just a transportation challenge. And that's really what we want to let employers know, especially in this area. We see a lot of parking challenges, and having a Vanpool program in place, there's going to be less vehicles coming to the workplace. So that's going to free up parking spots for the employers, as well as recruiting and retention. One of the first questions that HR professionals tend to ask when they're interviewing someone is, do you have reliable transportation to and from work? And if the answer is no, then they're not always able to hire that person who could be an A+ team member that they really want to bring onto their team. Having the Vanpool program in place now opens them up to still being able to hire that person and offer this service to them. All right, how Vanpooling works. Easiest way to describe it is it's like a carpool on steroids. We connect a number of employees that live in a tight geographic area, and we supply them a vehicle to get to and from work. So it is a to and from work program where the employees are off the clock while they're using the enterprise vehicle. They will get a local meetup spot, so it could be a park and ride, a Publix, a Costco. They all meet in the morning, and then they use that enterprise vehicle to go to and from work. Now, today, a lot of people will even live in the same neighborhood or be on the way to work for each other, and they can even go house to house and pick each other up. We give the flexibility to the Vanpool group for them to be able to do whatever works best for them. Once we have a group of employees, we will supply a vehicle. So we can do a 7-person SUV up to a 15-passenger vehicle, depending on how many people are going to be in the Vanpool group. Once they have the vehicle, they're able to share that driving responsibility with each other and share that cost of commuting to and from work, which is just getting more and more expensive as vehicles are getting more expensive. Fuel is included in the price estimate that we give to the riders. So we will supply a fuel card to them, so it can easily be split between everybody that is riding in the Vanpool, as well as tolls. If they need a toll pass, that will be provided as well. Again, so everything is on one invoice and can be equally split between all the riders in the Vanpool. We fully cover the vehicle, so any damage that would happen to our vehicle with a $0 deductible is covered through enterprise, as well as third-party liability. So if something were to happen, they don't have to worry about having insurance or filing a claim through their own insurance. We also offer 24/7 roadside assistance. So if something were to come up, we can get someone out to fix the vehicle or get them switched into another vehicle if it's time sensitive. This is our new mobile app that we rolled out in February with our new flexible Vanpool program, just because there's an app for everything now. And this acts as a co-pilot for the participants to just make it a better experience for them. So they can find Vanpools on the app. They can sign up on the app, put in what days of the week they're going to be working. If they want to be a driver, make their payment. They can now do everything on this app, which makes it a lot easier for them. They're also able to track how much money they're saving by being part of the van pool, how many miles they're saving, and the CO2 reductions that are being saved from not driving their own vehicle. And that information is based on the route that they're taking. So that is real-time information that we're able to give to them. For the drivers, they can see what days of the week they're driving. They can see where they have to go to make pickups. And if they need to make any changes, if they can't drive a certain day when they were supposed to, again, they can do it all on the app. For people that might not be as technology savvy, like myself, and they're not able to use the app, they can still get with me, get with our team, and we can still get them signed up by getting a questionnaire filled out. So the majority of the people are using the app. It's a great co-pilot, but for people that can't, we're still able to assist them. Why commuters enjoy the program? It's going to start with the cost savings. You can see on here in 2023, participants throughout the country saw an average saving of $6,000 a year. So that is money that is going back into their pocket that they can use for a family vacation they might have not been able to take in a while. They can put a savings in their college fund. It's really up to them what they want to use that money for, but it's a good amount of money going back into their pocket. It also gives them reliable transportation. So a lot of the people that we do have in the van pool group don't have reliable transportation. Now they do. And then the time back in their day, as we talked about earlier, people getting back to the return to office are spending an average of 55 minutes a day going to and from work. So putting this time back in their day goes a long way for them. So they're getting to the office. They're a more well-rested employee. They're a better worker. But more importantly to me, when they're getting home, they're more well-rested and they're willing to spend that time with their family. They're not tired and going to sleep right away. They're getting more family time back in their day. The benefits for the employers. The obvious one, transportation challenges. But how else can employers use this program to benefit them? Recruiting and retention, savings, putting money back in the pockets of their employees, CO2 reductions. We're seeing more and more companies are putting initiatives in place for CO2 reductions. A lot of their customers are asking them right now, for us to work with you, we want to know what you're doing good for the environment. This is an easy way to put a good sustainability initiative in place. We're able to meet with them on a quarterly basis, and based on how many van pools they have, how many riders they have, we're able to give them that information that they can share with everyone that's important to. Employee wellness and company culture. Yes, our program is flexible. It's only 30 days at a time with 30 days notice. They can terminate a van pool if need be, but on average, the van pools go out for 5 to 6 years at a time. We like to call these van pool groups families because they end up celebrating birthdays together. They celebrate holidays together. People that they work with that they might not know that well, they become really close with, and it's great. It's great. This is an example of the mapping that we can do to help the employers find out who their employees are that are stressed out and spending a lot of money on their commute. We understand van pooling is not to be for everyone. It's typically for 5 to 20% of a workforce. If people live close enough and they can take a bus to work, they can bike to work, they can scooter to work, that is great. We are all for that. But how do we help those employees out that live too far out, that they're not able to do that? Having the van pool program really lets you focus on your employees. And this is how we will partner with the employers to help them find those employees. We'll typically look 10 plus miles away from a work site, and we'll see who the employees are that live close enough together to share in a van pool with each other. Then I will go on site to these employers and I will meet with the employees to go over any questions or concerns that they might have and introduce them to the van pool program. And finally, why the program works. It's needed with the changer in commuter landscape. A lot more people on the road, a lot of people moving to Florida. Congestion is traffic, it's just getting worse and worse. We need to get vehicles off the road. Vanpool and can help with that. It's gonna save money for the employers. It's gonna save money for the employees. It's measurable. We're able to get that data and share it real time with the riders as well as the businesses. And finally, it's easy. I do the majority of the work. Yes, I do need some help on the front end from the employers, setting time with their employees for me to come on site. But once the Vanpool group is up and running, we're taking care of it on our end. I am starting the new Vanpools, and we have a full operations team that is handling switch outs, oil changes when they're needing, anything that's going on with the Vanpool group, we're fully taken care of for the company in that group. That's all I have. Let's ride together.
Thank you.
Any questions? Good time for questions.
Absolutely. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Mark, do you have any counties that, I'm sorry, do you have any vandals that originate in the county? Here in Hillsborough, in the county center?
We don't have any at the county center yet. The closest one would be right down the street at Amalie Arena. We do have one going to and from Amalie.
Does anyone maybe on staff know how that conversation might get going? It seems like the county center would be a pretty good target. Like when employees are onboarded. Is that what you're saying?
I have an employee that doesn't have a car, lives in the university area, but the bus routes are such that she gets in very, very early. And then in order to stay till 5, she would have to catch a very late bus to get home very, very late. So I don't know, how does this stack up to the cost of public transportation? And she does get a subsidy from the county for part as well, but how would that cost kind of compare?
Yeah, it's gonna be more expensive than someone using PART and taking a bus. But the benefits of the Vanpool is it can be flexible and it can help put time back in her day, like she talked about.
Incredibly long days.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it can help out. We could look at exploring, again, other people that live in her area. And we can take multiple businesses in an area. It doesn't have to be all from one business. We can get with numerous businesses in one area and put all their employees together on a map to help form more vehicles.
Okay, so does she go on the website to kind of check out?
Yep.
Options?
Yep, she can go to commutewithenterprise.com and put her information in. And if there's any current Vanpools that would fit her schedule, then our operations team would reach out to her. The other option is to help connect me with someone on the leadership team that can help put the Vanpool program in place. So we can really go over what it could, do for everyone and opening it up to all the employees. Because there might be some other employees that have the same challenges that just haven't voiced them. Or maybe they have reliable transportation, but they're just spending a lot of money, and this could save them money from not driving their personal vehicle every day.
So I think a good thing to do is get this information to HR at the county. And they send out a couple of newsletters a week with opportunities or things that people can take advantage of. So I'd be happy to hook you up with somebody.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I can share a couple flyers. And then if you could help connect me with someone in HR, that way we can start going over all the benefits that could happen, as well as looking at opening up to more employees as well. And that is the biggest thing for me, is just getting our name out there, letting people know that this is real. It's not too good to be true. We've had great success and we've been able to roll it out at workplaces, but help make those introductions to me and the community so I get in front of these businesses and help them and their employees out.
Sorry, I missed it, but did you talk about the emergency ride home program?
I did not. So we do have an emergency ride home program as well. When I meet with the employees, one of the biggest concerns that they have when they're learning about the program is what happens if they stay late for overtime, What if I have a child or a dog that gets sick? I need to leave early. We have an emergency ride home program where we will reimburse an individual that has an emergency that comes up. We will do it up to 6 times a year, up to $100. The reason we have that in place is we rarely ever see anyone need to use it more than 6 times a year. But that's something that we're able to put in place to make everyone feel better again about joining a van pool and not being stuck if something were to come up.
Did you say child or a dog?
Yeah. Whatever the emergency, again, that's what it's in place there.
That's right.
Cats are good too. Turtles, any pet that you might have.
Turtle emergency.
Turtle here.
Anyone else?
I just have a comment. If anyone is chatting with the Florida Department of Transportation District 7, they used to fund the T-BARTA Commuter Services Program. So they offered carpool matching, they supported emergency ride home for transit riders and everybody else. They have not, they're still exploring options and they haven't put anything new in place to promote commuting options and support commuting options at T7. I'm not really sure what the holdup is, but I think if they start hearing from more than maybe just me on that, it would help move that along.
That was gonna be my question, is about promotion and marketing of the program, knowing, so I live in Pinellas County and I used to work for PSTA, and I know it was hard getting the word out and being able to really market the program, to expand it, and to get more users in. So is there a strategy beyond what maybe FDOT can do or PSTA or can do to market? Is that something that you guys are also doing?
Yes, that's something I'm doing. So I'm going and doing presentations, like this with different members that can help spread the word. I mean, I am making phone calls, I am doing emails. That's my main job, is to get the word out there and to have these meetings with the employers. We start with, leadership level with the employers, get the agreement, everything in place with them, and then move on to the employees, because the employees are volunteering to be part of the program. The employers are introducing it, saying, we want to do this, we think this would be great for you all. But then the employees have to raise their hand and say, yes, I want to be a part of it and join the van pool.
When you're doing that, when you're at the workplace, are you offering like, here's some price ranges, or like, here's the average cost based on distance, or, because I think that could be a barrier to folks is feeling like it might not be within their price range, or feeling like, oh, it's gonna cost me too much, being able to assuage those fears with some I guess ballpark numbers.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first meeting that I will have with employers is really to learn about them. What challenges are they having? What priorities do they have? Make sure van pool would be a good fit for them and their employees. And then we're actually presenting the program to them, and in that we are giving cost examples. The majority of the employers also help invest in the program. So PSTA pays a portion. The employers, with the benefits they get out of it, they will help invest, pay a portion, and then the employees have a portion. So the cost can vary a lot depending on type of vehicle, how many days, miles, but we are able to give them examples so they can see that it is affordable.
Any others?
Question. No one else does. And I was thinking the same thing about, I hadn't heard of this. It's such a cool program, and it's kind of everything that all the safety messages that we want out there and all the good things. So amazing. It's just like, how do you distribute that message out to the public? And we have social media, that's sharing that we can help with, and geofencing and all these wonderful tools out there. So hopefully more and more people will hear about it. And some kind of funny questions. I'm sure there's a lot of details that go along with, what if there's a passenger that no one likes, like they're obnoxious? Just
They don't smell good.
when they demand, oh, I really want to go here and there, and someone's nice, and okay, they end up driving around. Something like, how do you get rid of somebody?
Yeah, that's a great question. So does it happen? Of course. It's actually pretty rare though. Because this is a privilege and they understand that. And once the participants are part of the van pool, they want to do everything they can to stay in it because they realize how much it means to them, wellness, how much money they're saving on it. So they are going to do, again, everything they can that they don't get removed from the van pool. And that's something our operations team would deal with. When something comes like that, someone reaches out to them, they'll start having conversations with the van pool group, with the person, see if they can get it figured out to help keep the person in the van pool. If it gets to a point where they do have to remove the person, then they can remove.
Okay, that was just a funny question, but I had a couple others too. I think I got this weird, but the invoices I like that it's all one thing and everyone divides it. I do a lot of traveling with my senior softball team and we divide up costs for everything, but it would change. It's not a daily invoice, right? Like if
Monthly.
it's monthly, so it behooves the person to take the rides because if they don't, okay, it still gets divided up to the group, the cost, even if they're not on the van.
Well, so that's where when someone's signing up, if they're only traveling 2 days a week, they have a hybrid schedule. When they sign up, they'll put in, I'm going to work Tuesday and Thursday. And based on how many days riding, they'll get a price estimate and they'll have a certain amount that they're supposed to pay. So that goes back to the cost and how it can vary. So when I give the cost examples, I will do a typical, someone traveling 5 days a week. Because obviously 5 days a week compared to 2 days, they're gonna be paying more.
I imagine that if you have an empty seat in your van, you might want to talk and a neighbor is working here, they might even generate other riders so that it makes it cheaper for them. That's cool. Parking. Do you guys don't subsidize the parking of the van? Or do you, because that seems to be a cost that.
So you're saying if like an employer has to pay for
Like,
parking out of location?
yeah, like the person that's driving the van, everyone gets out, where do they park it? Like they have to find a place to park it while they're at work, right?
Yeah, so
Expensive.
so at night you're saying when they're leaving, like when they leaving.
Does the van stay downtown with all the employees and then they all get back in and go back home?
Yeah, well, typically it will stay at the employer, so we'll park at the employer. One thing that we do with a lot of employers to get more interest in the program, especially if they have parking challenges, is we can get signs made to give the employers to do VIP van pool parking. So we can do with enterprise parking only, and they might, get a parking spot closer and not have to walk as far. So that's something that a lot of the employers do, again, to help gain more interest in the program.
My last question is, bike racks. I don't know if, that would be, if someone's final destination isn't, someone in your vehicle isn't really right where you're parking. And it was a nice, easy ride, but I just didn't know if you would consider having bike racks on the van, any of the vans in the future or.
That's a great question. I've never had that asked before. I don't see a problem with it. That cost would end up getting pushed onto the van pool group and kind of split up. But if we had a big pool group that wanted to do that, one thing I learned with working for Enterprise for 13 and a half years is they don't say no. It's a family-owned company, so they're open to listening and what do our customers need? What can we help with? And they see if it's something that's manageable. So I would never say no to something like that.
That'd be a big demand. I'm just curious. Thank you so much.
But again, that's a great question because we want to support people, biking, busing, scootering to just get the vehicles off the road.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.
We'll get you a parking pass.
Text you.
Next we have the West River Build grant. I think we have Fred Jones from Haskell online. Fred, would you like to share your screen?
Yes, thank you guys this morning. And I also have Larry Levis and our project manager, Tony Monk, is also on. Let me
Great.
go ahead and share the screen here. And we do have a video that we will play in the first slide here. Let me make sure.
I was gonna message you, that's funny.
Can you guys hear this at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did hear. I'm gonna see this is all.
I think the video stalled. Oh, God.
Let's see. Are you guys having trouble hearing the video?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to have stalled.
We were seeing it online, I think.
Are you able to hear it for those who are virtual?
I could hear it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it was
able to
playing
hear.
and it was playing and we could hear online.
All right, Fred, I think I've turned the volume up, so maybe we can try again.
Yeah, let me make sure. And I think I need to make sure that my volume is in the audio is playing in the video. Let's make sure. Can you guys hear the video, the audio?
We cannot.
You said you cannot?
No, not in the room.
Okay.
It is a lovely video, and maybe you share the link. Is it on the, is it
Yeah, I
on the
mean, it's
website?
like, it's like one of these things that is so like, you know, it's a magical video, but I'll just advance through it and go to the
Yeah,
next slide
and
just so that we can keep on track here.
If it's on the West River Build website, folks will have a chance. They can go look at it there.
And the presentation is also in the agenda packet, so our members can see that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so it's good. It's one of these technical glitches, but I appreciate your guys' flexibility in accommodating us in terms of doing this virtually. Can everybody see this?
Not yet.
Not yet.
There we
All
go.
right, how about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, gosh, thank you so much. Apologies here for the technical glitches. Again, this is something I think everybody is quite aware of, and I think we're getting ready to launch this coming hopefully with the first phase of the construction by this fall, later part of this year. I know it's been talked about. This is, as we've kind of described it, we feel like this is really legacy infrastructure for the city of Tampa. Very excited. It builds upon a lot of initiatives that you guys have worked upon. This is from a bill grant that you guys had received in 2020, and it's finally coming to fruition here. This, as you kind of see, if you look over here at the map, this is the 5.5 mile section of the West River Build project that will eventually connect over to the east side. It's split into 6 segments. This again is really about, and I like to take Tony's term, continuity of experience and an opportunity to build on placemaking. It builds upon the Vision Zero effort of the city, which you guys I know is critically important to this group, and building off of the safe systems approach. We are delivering this project through an integrated design build approach so that we can accelerate the project and meet the time schedules of the grant requirements. And a key part of this too is really built around equity, collaboration, and outreach, and particularly linking those neighborhoods and communities of the West Tampa area over to the Riverwalk with safe, low-stress infrastructure so folks can access the river through walking and cycling. Just a couple, we're going to go through some of these. These are really high-level illustrative images of, this is a keynote. This is at Platt and Janus Park, showing the pedestrian underpass, as well as a keystone project of this is a protected intersection at Platt and Bayshore, which will be one of the first in Tampa. This is really designed so as you're, cycling or coming down Platt Street that you can safely and easily cross over to the river and to downtown. This kind of gives you a little bit of a highlight view. Some of these are really just high level images showing that protected intersection. This gives you a little bit of a perspective of what it will be like under the bridge there at Platt Street, which would be a new key feature. And again, we've also taken some liberty to show, we know that placemaking will be a key part of this. And as it connects over to Janus Park, we see this as an opportunity to truly activate this park. And so obviously, when you start to see an opportunity of connecting a Riverwalk experience over here, it's probably going to be a prime location for future events and programming needs. As I mentioned, Complete Streets and Vision Zero are a hallmark of this project and a real critical reason as to why the city was successful in receiving the build grant. We're using, not only, like I said, is this going to be a trail and a multi-use path and Riverwalk, but it's also going to dramatically improve the safety and accessibility of the street network to the river. And this is particularly along Columbus, Rome, and Platt Streets, where we're going to be adopting Complete Street and traffic calming measures. The city is a NACTO city, so we're using their standards to help drive a lot of the design to create a low stress, fully protected bicycle network. Again, it's not a true greenway without that, so we understand that it's important to when cyclists or pedestrians will be close to the roadway, we want to have them protected throughout this process. Also, like I say, placemaking is important as a critical piece of that. I know some of you may have been involved in the Cass Street mural, but we feel that's also an opportunity at some of the intersections in the future and really driving home the Vision Zero program. A little of an example of this, you see how Rome Avenue to the north, this is Rome and Chestnut, and just an idea of how this will look when it's completed is to have the roadway space reallocated for fully protected cycle networks and also shade trees. Critically important part of this program is to make sure that it's a comfortable, low stress, welcoming environment, and we're going to be installing a heavy tree canopy throughout the project, particularly along Rome Avenue. This just gives you a concept of way Bayshore and Platt is going to look as a fully protected intersection. We know this is a busy intersection, so there's going to be some trade-offs. Obviously, you have those free-flowing, right-hand turning movements coming from Bayshore south to the eastbound section on Platt Street. So we're going to be tightening that up and eliminating the swooping geometry of this intersection so that it's truly safe for every folk that's commuting through here, and making it a safe, accessible experience. I mentioned tree planting. We're going to have up to 50, I believe, shade trees that will be planted on Rome Avenue that currently do not exist as part of this project. That's going to really support the comfort and convenience of cyclists that will be commuting north and south on this corridor to eventually connect over to the Riverwalk. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Larry, and he's going to talk a little bit about the design of the trail and the living shoreline component, which is also a key part of this project.
Morning. Yeah, you can see in some of the, you go back, Fred, to that
Yeah.
image, previous slide. Living shoreline in between some of the bridges and the seawalls. You have some of the living shoreline already on the east side, and this project includes 1,500 lineal feet of living shoreline between here and North Avenue Bridge. So it's quite extensive. I mean, in a perfect world, it would be the entire distance, but this is a great beginning and probably a good catalyst for future expansion of the living shoreline, because the seawall is a little bit aged and in places it's starting to have show signs of age. Next slide. You might have noticed at the beginning there was a gap when Fred showed the segments 1 through 6. Between segments 1 and 2 along the riverfront, there is a section, I guess, south of Kennedy, between Broreen and Kennedy, that this is the Broreen Bridge that we are going to be building as it comes into the area where those apartment buildings are. The walkway is already there, the trail is already there, and a developer is going to be creating a bridge very much like you see here under Kennedy and connecting to University of Tampa. And we're coordinating that at the arrival at Plant Park. So it will be a continuous, seamless trail, despite the fact that our map showed a gap. So along the river, this would be kind of a typical section of a 12-foot multi-use trail with the early days of living shoreline. You can see that's what it would look like before it gets too mature. Along the University of Tampa, we're coordinating with the university to have good septet principles. Even though this, and Tony Monk is on, I don't think this will be open all day. I think there is a time limit to this. It might be sundown, it might be a little bit later, but nevertheless, the trail will come close to some of the buildings, dorm buildings and such, and this project will be careful with lighting and landscape to create a safe environment for both students and other users.
I'll say that the university has some discretion. They have the ability to restrict access on their portion overnight. The city's preference is that we have a 24/7 facility if it's to serve as a commuter space, but the university can't exercise their discretion. So we're hopeful that as this improvement comes on, it becomes safe and popular, and it makes all of the community safer and more accessible, that the university will just fold into the city. And we're seeing that happen in other places around campus. They're really integrating into the city at large. So we hope for a full integration.
And speaking of full integration, this is what I was just mentioning, where the bridge that you see here would be developed by the developer, the related group that's building the Icon over the next few years, just south of the Kennedy Street Bridge, the Icon Tower condominium. It's part of their development rights. They would be building this bridge. This is Plant Park as reimagined by Tony and our team to receive that bridge. And technically our scope of work starts on the upper part of the image where you see the concrete sidewalk going up into Plant Park and into UT. But an ancillary project of this will probably be the upgrades to this Plant Park. Next. And as you come up into the Blake High School area and you start to get at the bend, looking across at Eulalie, we're looking to create moments. We had talked about this from the initial stages of creating a series of moments that aren't too far apart, maybe 5 to 10 minutes walking apart from each other. This is an opportunity, although this hasn't been incorporated yet into the project and is still at the proposal phase. We cannot be building a deck out into the river for permitting reasons. So we're looking at the likelihood of cantilevering a deck to provide people the view out towards this very important corner of the river. And you can see where it's bending up there at the bend. Most people know where the bend is. Next view.
Yep.
Next view is probably, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Just looking back across towards the waterworks and such, and this is a great opportunity to provide these moments. There wouldn't be too many of them, again, because they're several minutes apart, probably 3 or 4 moments along the entire stretch from Janus Park up to North Boulevard, but enough to be meaningful. Now, this is just a discussion of living shoreline for those who may not be too familiar with it, what it provides with the wave dissipation and resiliency and so forth. And it is an alternative to a hard edge engineered concrete wall. And yet, like I said, we'll have 1,500 lineal feet of it interspersed at Blake High School, at Tampa Prep, and in front of Janus Park. Next.
And just wrapping up, I mentioned earlier, public engagement's a critical piece of this. Again, we know a lot of folks, are aware of this project happening, but we want to make sure, particularly as we move into the construction phases of the various segments, that folks are well aware of any potential disruptions in the MOT. We've got a communications plan. We're working with Valerian Group and identifying all the stakeholders and doing some early outreach, leveraging a lot of the neighborhood associations as well, so that they're quite aware of this project. Some of the folks, this is just a laundry list of the area stakeholders. We have already started to stake signs for an upcoming public meeting. We also know that we've got, Spanish, so everything's going to be translated as well. And a key thing for everybody that's in this room, I would say, is go ahead if you want to. This is our current website. Feel free, if you go to westriverbuild.com on your phone, it will upload this website, and there's a direct download for a mobile application, which you can download directly from the website. So as soon as you go to westriverbuild.com on your phone, or even your desktop, it will enable you on your phone to download the mobile app, and from there you can enable notifications. And so as we get ready to move forward into the construction levels and any particular meetings, you'll be notified as that, as well as a space to put information or comments that you may have. But it's really almost a mirror of the website. And as I mentioned, we're getting ready to have our kickoff public meeting. This is next Thursday, Thursday after next, June 26th at 6 p.m. At the Beulah Baptist Church on Cypress Street. This will really be the kickoff, just to let everybody know what's happening, big picture about the project, and getting all the information and opportunity to, provide any sort of feedback. Now, again, we know that this project, like I say, it's design build. This isn't really this is more of a public information meeting. This isn't about, whether this is happening or not, it's happening, but we really just want to continue to use this as a launching pad to celebrate this project and to inform folks about the schedule as we move into the segments. Which brings us to the schedule here. Again, we kickstarted this off on a notice to proceed last August, and we're currently in the design and permitting phase right now, working with the city to go back and address particular comments and permits. Most folks, like I say, will continue to have that 30-day review and comment period. And our anticipation is that the last quarter of this year, we get all the permits acquired to begin segment 6, which is Ridgewood Park. And the goal here is to have everything completed and underway the first quarter of 2027 to comply with the build grant requirements. And I think that's about it. So we'll turn it over if there's any questions that folks may have.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Okay.
I kind of lost track, but is the funding fully in place for this project at this point? Now,
Could you hear the question?
Yes, was
Yes,
it?
the
Yes.
funding is fully in place.
Yep.
great, thanks.
Anyone else?
No, I just say it's an exciting project.
Oh my gosh, it's really exciting. Like, I have no questions. I just want to like scream,
Yeah.
joy.
So my understanding is Bay Shore to Columbus, over the bridge and then back down the east side, like game changer. for the
Yeah,
community.
and may I point out that I have heard from a resident on Columbus, he washes my hair at the salon. He said, I've heard about, it. Like, people know that this is coming and they're excited. They understand, at least in that neighborhood, the value that it adds to their property, so, and their lives. So, got the chills. Ribbon audience.
Question from the audience.
Yes, we have a question from the audience, Brandy.
I was just gonna say, I was in Ridgewood Park yesterday and I saw the public meeting sign. So it's nice that I think there's this very walkable neighborhood already. But to have even safer connections and the 50 shade trees. I didn't realize that, but full disclosure, I work with Fred and Mary at the houseboat company. I just joined a couple months ago. My name is Brandy, and I'm so sorry I walked in late because I didn't want to interrupt Mark's presentation. But anyways, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I think Rome Avenue is really going to be a game changer there. I mean, as you see the existing condition and we know the Rome Yard developer is working there and to make that connection, but we feel like that's going to really be dramatically improve that corridor.
I partner with, my organization, Sidewalk Stoppers, partners with a school on Rome Avenue, and we have a group that crosses Rome to go to a community center. It's awesome. Such a change for kids to be able to walk across there comfortably.
Thank you. Any others?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, next we have Dwayne Brown from HART presenting on the basic transit infrastructure update. And Dwayne, if you'd like to share your screen.
Can everybody hear me?
Dwayne, we can hear you very low. I don't know if you're
All right, can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
All right, okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dwayne Brown. I'm a project manager here with the HART PMO. And as well, I'm the Basic Transit Infrastructure Program Manager. And I will be providing you guys with a BTI overview. So we just get right into it. So to start off with, BTI stands for Basic Transit Infrastructure. I know that when you hear infrastructure, it brings to mind like transit centers and buildings and large maintenance yards with buses all over the place. However, the key word here is basic. I know that people don't think of bus stops as being a facility. However, in transit, bus stops are the most common facility throughout the transit system or throughout the transit agency. And you can't get any more basic than that. So the BTI program is not intended to build like large, complex facilities. It's intended to ensure that the most basic element of transit systems, bus stops, needs are addressed. HART's BTI program was established in like 2007 after a bus stop accessibility study was completed. And HART had over 4,000 stops at that time, and nearly a quarter of them needed some sort of work on them, some sort of upgrades to them to make them come into lines with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so BTI was enacted to address the American with Disabilities Act's accessibility guidelines. at the bus stops. And in 2017 and 2018, HART had a Mission Max program that eliminated a considerable amount of the routes and nearly half of the bus stops within the systems, which brings us to kind of where we are today. So I don't want to confuse anybody, and I know I definitely don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but I'm going to try to give you a couple of definitions here so that we're both on the same, so we're all on the same page, and when we're moving forward, and when I say things in this briefing. So first, I want to define what is a project. So a project, in terms of HART's projects, a project is a singular endeavor that has a defined beginning and a defined end. As simple as that. And so a program is a group of similar projects that does not necessarily have a defined ending. This kind of just rolls on and on. And then a portfolio is a group of programs. So when you hear me refer to BTI as a program, we say it's a program, however, it's more like a portfolio because there are like 4 distinct programs that make up BTI. And that is engineering and design, shelters and amenities, and emerging technologies, and construction. I apologize. And construction is the 4th in that one. And each one of those, we have separate agencies and entities that we work with. So with our projects and construction, we have with our projects and with design, we have consultants with Ayers, Kimley Horns, and Burns and McDonald's, who are engineers who create who design our bus stops for us. And then for our construction projects, we have a couple of GCEs, general contractors, Flores, AJ Construction, American Construction, and those are the guys who actually build the bus stops. And then we have our shelter provider is Tolar out of California, and they provide the new shelters that we're placing out. And then we are in the process of doing a solicitation where we're trying to get where we're going to be getting real-time information placed at our bus stops in the form of e-paper readers and signs and stuff like that that have the functionality to tell people, hey, this is the bus that's coming. This is where they are, where buses are, how many people are on the buses, that type of deal. And so that's what we're moving towards with the BTI program. Right. So what I wanted to also do, I just wanted to kind of explain how it kind of works, and understand that BTI is just one cog in a wheel, where how HART addresses the needs at the bus stops. It's definitely a team effort, and we have, and I work with several divisions within the HART company that to address that if a bus stop is actually needed, and is it safe, and is it accessible. And so these are, so with service planning, safety, operation, maintenance, asset management, and then finally BTI. So I come in at the end there, and I'm just the guy who's building the bus stops at the end and placing the stuff out there. So that's kind of where we are. So one of the main questions that I get about bus stops is what is the process to get a bus stop? And here are just a few of the criteria that we use to initiate the BTI process. So this is not an all-encompassing list of factors, but for the most part, these are some of the things that we look at when we are trying to initiate a BTI project and get one started. And so, ADA compliance, patron suggestions and complaints, our operators saying there's something going on at a bus stop. We have maintenance, it's a whole bunch of accidents. You'll be surprised how many times bus shelters get hit out there and people vandalize stuff. We have committee and board members who request different things, service planning, things like when we're creating new bus stops or we're creating new routes, safety issues that come up when we're doing bus stops, and where a road has changed in the past couple of years, and we have to address moving the bus stop for safety issues. And it's just a whole bunch of different things that happen how we initiate a project. And then we go through a validation portion of it, just for everybody to kind of understand where I'm coming from here. So BTI is a one-man show, and that is me. We only have like four project managers that work at Heart, and BTI's the whole entire program is all me. And so over, Hillsborough County is 1,000 square miles, and I have to cover a lot of different spaces. So things don't always get done as quick as I would like them to get done. But when we're going through the project validation, this is part of it. We do an internal review, we look at the different places, and then we go out to the field and we kind of look at it and make sure that we're trying to get it done. We're trying to get a feel for what is actually what it's like on the ground. And then we move into getting what is it feasible for us to do it, and then we make a go no go decision on whether or not we want to do that bus stop. All right. Okay, so now we've gotten past all the preliminary stuff on how kind of BTI kind of works. This kind of goes into what it currently looks like. So this slide shows the number of stops and how many shelters there are. This just to give you a kind of a sense of what's going on. So we conducted a bus stop inventory in 2022, and all of these numbers kind of come from the numbers that you're seeing here come from that 22 inventory. We are currently in the process of doing another inventory right now for 2025, and we got a couple of new systems what we're using, what we're trying to make it a little bit better and more easier for us to keep track of our bus stops and keep track of the needs at the bus stops. But as of our last bus stop inventory, we're accounting for 2,256 bus stops. And there were 608 shelters that we had that was out there. On this chart kind of breaks down the total shown per district, and that is BOC district, that's Board of County Commissioner districts that we're using here to kind of break them out, because it's the four districts that make up the four physical districts where that make up the county. So right now we have a backlog of about 331 stops that require some form of ADA improvement or some form of improvement for us that we have to address. And so as of January 16th this year, we've had, I apologize, I meant to put that on mute. So as of just January, we have had 16 bus stops that were either completed by Heart and or developers on Heart's behalf. The bus stops with shelters that are past their useful life, which mean bus stops that are shelters that are over 10 years old, or they have some form of damage or something that we need to replace, are about 521. We have replaced 92. We have replaced 92 shelters, and we have upped our number. And with the replacement and placing in new shelters, we've upped our number from 608 to 613. So in the next two lines, you'll see the investment that we've made over the last 5 years. In the last since January, our total investment has increased by over $627,000. And make sure I'm taking this. And as of the date of this presentation, that these were the shelters and where we had them placed. Just to kind of throw it out there, as we move into the next slides here. A lot of these projects what we have been completed since we did this, since I sent this briefing over. So I had 9 bus stops that were in construction at the time when I sent this briefing over to Connor for him to look at, and 9 of them have been completed. So you can kind of, I don't have the pictures in here of the ones that have been completed, but these Memorial Highway at George, you can kind of see the bus stop as it was. there in the picture, this one was actually a bus stop that was a developer gave us funding to do back in 2012, and we went in and we upgraded this bus stop because the funding was provided for us to do so, and so we upgraded that one. The one that's on the bottom, Hillsborough at 43rd, that one is right in front of the bus depot for the Hillsborough Public Schools, and they gave us an easement in order for us to place a shelter pad there, so we can place a shelter at that bus stop because it is a high volume stop that's there. The stops that these stops are actually down south in Ruskin, on our Route 31, and there were 5 stops that were there. You can see in the pictures there was a lot of issues that we had with these bus stops where they were just not accessible, and we have made those bus stops accessible now. The next couple of projects here, these next ones, so the Main at Willow and Main at Rome, they were in front of, there's a lot of housing that's being developed there. The West River project that's going on down there, where they're building a lot of affordable housing, and is right next to Blake High School. And we're doing 4 stops there, and those they have been completed. And then out in District 2, which is over near 275 and it's near 75 and Fowler, if you want to think about where the kind of where this is, and these bus stops were just completed as well. And then we have bus stops that we are currently in design. Again, these are bus stops that are high ridership bus stops that have issues with different portions of them not meeting ADA requirements or needing to be upgraded because they are way too small for the amount of bus passengers that ride the bus in this area. All right. And then we have the same thing with bus stops that are this is actually up near the campus of USF. It's off of 131st and 15, so right down the street from our University Area Transit Center that we have. And this is 3 bus stops along this corridor here that we're going to be upgrading, that are in design. All right. So that concludes my overview, and I thank you guys for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you, Dwayne. Are there any comments or questions? Gina?
Hey, Dwayne, I have a question. I definitely heard you loud and clear that B is for basic. So I know you probably get questions about why can't we, do more for the patrons that are standing on the side of the road, and they're hot or it's raining. But I guess my question is, does the B in basic include a bench? I could see that a lot of them have benches, but is that like a basic that goes with each stop? And also like garbage cans. I was wondering if garbage cans were something that, I know that means then that they have to be emptied, but it is, I've noticed that I think people would use them if they were there. So I wanted to know about those 2 things. And I have one more question.
Okay, so to address the bench issue, so we get this question a lot. So for the most part, if you see a bench that is out and is by itself at a bus stop, that bench does not belong to Hart. That is not a Hart bench. And especially if you see them and they have advertising on them, those benches do not belong to Hart. They belong to advertising companies, and there's several of them that are across the county that they put them out, and they are put there by permit, and Hart does not receive revenue for them. They just put them there, and we can't move them. And so if you see those that are out there now, for as far as Hart placing benches at bus stops, there's a couple of different things that have to happen. Number one, the benches that are placed out there that I told you that are advertising benches that they don't belong to Hart, they are not always in compliance with ADA as we see it. So ADA is intended for it's not intended to so I guess let me rephrase this. ADA is intended to make everything equal, to make it so that everybody can use everything. And sometimes when they place those benches out there, they are not accessible to everybody. Only a able body. It can't be. You can't have something at that only a able bodied person can use. You have to have it where everybody can use it. And so some of these benches are not accessible. And so that's kind of why we try to separate those things out, because we don't want them to be affiliated with Hart. And everybody says, they see a bench at a bus stop and they just automatically think, oh yeah, that's Hart's bench, and it's not. So when Hart places benches, Hart will place a bench and it will be on a pad, it will be bolted down, and it will be accessible to everybody. Now, in order for us to do that, there are certain rules and certain things that we have to place. We have to have in place. So the bench has to have a certain amount of concrete. It has to meet wind loads. It has to be out of the clear zone for drivers, and it has to be placed at a certain spot. We can't just go and throw something out there and make it and then say, hey, here's what you guys can use. So when we build it, it will be accessible. And sometimes in order for us to make it accessible, it's far better for us to just build a shelter there than it is to place a bench. It's more cost effective to do that. So we don't really place benches. If we're going to place it, we're going to place a shelter.
Nice.
And then as far as trash cans go, trash cans come as a part of an amenity that like, say for instance, if I'm building a bus stop and it's a part of my project and it's a part of the shelter that goes in, it will be placed as a part of that amenity. But in general, trash cans are usually taken care of by our route maintenance, and they have trash cans that go to certain they go to at certain high volume stops. Again, we have a finite amount of them, and typically a trash can, my trash cans cost about $500 a piece as I when I purchased them. And so I know it's kind of expensive, but they kind of match with what we're doing. And some of the other ones are less expensive, but we still have a finite amount, and we can't put them at every stop.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. My last question is just about like prioritizing where you have that chart showing how many stops you have and how many need replacing. I think I heard you say several times in your presentation, you used the term like the high volume boardings, or where there's the most boardings. That makes the most sense to me. I hope that's where they get upgraded first. But I didn't know if you also considered like if they were dangerous, or they needed to be, or they were the oldest stops. Like I just didn't know if there was a prioritization methodology for where you decide to, replace or put new ones or replace the old ones.
So the methodology behind it is number one, we're looking for it to be safe. Is this bus stop safe for all pedestrians? Is it safe for all of our customers? Is it going to be safe? So safety is our main concern. And regardless of if the bus stop is in compliance with ADA, and if it meets all the criteria and everything, if the bus stop is not safe, then we're going to be trying to change it to make sure that it is safe. Number two thing is, and when we're looking at it as far as priority, is we're looking at whether or not the bus stop is ADA compliant, and we want to ensure that our bus stops, we have identified the bus stops that are out of compliance, so that we can make sure that we focus out. We have a finite amount of money as well, so we want to focus our funding and the money towards making our bus stops ADA compliant, so that we don't get sued, basically. And so that comes next in our in our hierarchy of things that we have to do. And then we start going down the list of everything else on like whether or not the bus stop has the ridership, or whether or not the bus stop has other things that fall in that tree, that litany of things that we said in there, that about where we initiate a bus stop, or where we initiate the process.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dwayne.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Jen from our Hillsborough County Planning Commission. So one of our own, Jen, I think the PowerPoint is up.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
So share it from here?
Yes.
Okay.
She's here to present on the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Element Update. Mouthful, but it's interesting.
Thank you all for having me, Jennifer Malone, Planning Commission staff. Okay, so if I just put this into slideshow.
Yes, and then you can share.
Okay. And what do I do next? Oh, I see. Share from here. Thank you. Okay. I am here to give a little update about the Tampa Comprehensive Plan update, specifically the future land use section. A little background for anybody who may not know, but I think everybody in this room is probably familiar. The Hillsborough County City County Planning Commission is an independent consolidated planning agency. We were established by the Florida legislature in 1959, serving all 4 jurisdictions of the county. And we are the local planning agency for all 4 jurisdictions. We're a recommending body to the local elected officials, and our role is to coordinate road, transportation, environment, and long-range planning. There's 10 voting members. In the enabling legislation, it set out how many seats each jurisdiction has. So each jurisdiction would appoint a certain number of members to the planning commission. We also have 2 ex officio members that are required by state law. Those are representatives from the school board and the MacDill Air Force Base. What is a comprehensive plan? Everybody seems to know what zoning is, but not a lot of people, when I've been going through this process, really understand what a comprehensive plan is and the associated comprehensive plan future land use map. So this is required by the state, and we're required to keep it updated. It guides the growth and development of the city for the next 20 years. It governs a wide range of policy issues such as land use, housing, and mobility, open space infrastructure, and the environment. It's supposed to anticipate trends and assess upcoming challenges, as well as it has policies and maps that support community decision-making. The Tampa City Council ultimately adopts the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. This is the same for every jurisdiction, and all rezonings and developments must be consistent with the plan. All right. Okay. So here's an overview of the plan sections. Most of these are required by state law. Future land use is the one we're updating right now. A couple of years ago, we did go through the process to update mobility and environmental, as well as water. We are trying to, through this process, bring the future land use, housing, and coastal management together at the same time. So that way, because these are so linked. So we're doing this in a phased approach, looking at this section by section. The future land use, or as we like to do the acronyms, FLU, is a long-term land use vision that designates the land uses for the city. So it says where residential will go, where commercial will go, where industrial will go. It also establishes development policies to ensure that compatibility to manage growth and protect resources. It differs from zoning because this is a broader planning framework guiding the future land use decisions. And I think on the next slide, it talks about the comprehensive plan being a long-term planning document, and the land development code is more of a regulatory document where we have development standards and procedures. So if you're ever wondering about setbacks, that would be in the land development code. if you're wondering, what can I zone my property to? That would be in the future land use plan, because the future land use is gonna tell you what you can zone. It's the umbrella overall for the entire city. It also establishes the maximum density and intensity of the uses in the city. This slide is showing our amazing collaboration with the city of Tampa. They've been a very close partner throughout this process, and then our branding that we did in the beginning, the Live, Growth, Thrive 2045 plan for Tampa. We started out a couple of years ago by doing a vision. So we knew we needed to update the plan, but what do people want to see? So we created a survey, and we got almost 1,000 responses. We whittled those down and we came up with a vision statement and multiple vision themes related to that. We really heard that people wanted an emphasis on the natural environment. They want to retain Tampa's historic character and create a diversity of cultures and people, a vibrant setting for everyone. The approach was starting with a wholesale review and revision to the section. That includes streamlining, consolidating, and updating the language. I think right now there's over 20 goals for only the future land use section, and we've brought that down to, I think it's 7 or 8. We've been working closely with city staff and stakeholders the whole time. We've also been conducting outreach on multiple phases, starting at the very beginning in 2022, maybe even, 22 with that vision, all the way through to today. Again, this is iterating the engagement process we've had so far, visioning sessions in town halls, stakeholders and community meetings, interactive polls, a project website that we update regularly, as well as an interactive web map that explores the potential policy changes that we can really see it visually on the screen. And then another summary of all of the meetings we've done. I'll update this slide to add in the Livable Roadways Committee after this meeting, but we've been all around and having over 30 meetings with about 700 attendants over this course of this project. I'm here today. I'm doing more outreach this summer because City Council has directed us to do a final phase of outreach this summer, and I'll get to that in the next slides. I'd just like to reiterate, we've really heard, especially in the beginning, housing choices, transportation, and housing affordability were some big items that were facing Tampa residents. And this is the goal, the section structure update. So there's 7 goals, starting with the citizen participation in the planning process. Goal 2 is about the urban form. That's establishing the new bonus structure, kind of saying where we want growth to go. Goal 3 establishes the future land use categories. Goal 4 is today in the plan, those are called our economic engines. So we need to recognize the Air Force Base, the airport, and the Port Tampa Bay, as well as the retention of industrial uses. Goal 5 relates to urban design. Goal 6 is the historic resources, and goal 7 is one that's on everybody's mind right now because we're entering another hurricane season about the coastal high hazard area. So I'm going to go through a couple of the major changes and talk about what we're doing, what we've done, how these have maybe evolved. Some of these have evolved throughout the process later on. So we've proposed new place types and bonus structures. We needed some way to kind of break up the city. So we're proposed regional activity centers, transit-ready corridors, and context-sensitive neighborhoods. Regional activity centers, this is downtown, which is where we are right now, West Shore, and proposing adding the Fowler Vision area as a regional activity center as well. So we've done all of that work. I see some smiles in the room, which is great. The Planning Commission has worked closely with the county and the city on a visioning process for Fowler, but that document needs to be implemented, and we need to take what's good in that Fowler document and put it in the comprehensive plan so we can actually use it. So that's one of our regional activity centers. Another regional activity center is a transit supportive development areas. Those are areas where we have fixed skyway transit now, which is the streetcar, or we would anticipate that in the future. And that comes with a bonus to bring that density that we need to support that transit that we would expect to have in the long term, because again, it's a long range planning document. Transit ready corridors are the mid-tier of our place types. Those are the major roadways that have some transit. We would hope that they would have more transit in the future. So we definitely want to make sure that those roadways are being utilized to their fullest potential, such as Kennedy, Dale Mabry, Hillsborough. And then context sensitive neighborhoods. This is the areas that are historic neighborhoods in the city that are experiencing infill pressures, growth and development pressures surrounding the neighborhood. So West Tampa, East Tampa, Carver City, Lincoln Gardens is one too. And so that's kind of that has special policies, and hopefully some implementing language would come later in the land development code to really protect those neighborhoods with design. This is a map of the proposed place types. I know it's a little tough to see. And I can, with this on our website, and I can always chat later if you have any specific questions about any of the place types. With the place types, there's a bonus structure in place proposed. One thing that we heard a lot was that a lot of people were having map amendments approved to the map, but the city was not getting anything in return for that increase in density. And that's going to be on the map forever, because once that's approved, it's almost impossible to take it away. So that's based on that feedback. We worked very closely with the consultant to come up with a new bonus structure to incentivize development with a public benefit in the places that the city wants it. This is a slide. I know this is a lot of text right now. We also have this on our website, but it just lays out. Brandy actually helped us with this graphic previously on part of this project, but this lays out the vision for the bonus structure and how different bonuses can be stacked. So a developer would receive more density for a public benefit. So affordable housing, we have 2 tiers of transit bonuses depending on where that project is, as well as a green bonus. And so we can stack those up and it kind of a mix and match, choose your own adventure type thing. Another revision for this plan is the FLU categories. You would think that community mixed use 35 means 35 dwelling units an acre. You would be wrong. It means 30 dwelling units an acre. And then up to 35, that's how it's in the adopted plan today. Up to 35 if the applicant enters into a bonus agreement. So as part of the streamlining and trying to make this easier to understand, we're dropping the densities on some of the categories at the end of the title. And then there's in the coastal high hazard areas, that is an area that we would not want to encourage too much, except in certain places. That density would be 30 dwelling units an acre. Everywhere else it would be 35. And then outside of the coastal high hazard area, there would be an option to get even higher, up to 70 with that mix and match bonus structure that I showed on a couple of slides ago. Another thing we heard about a lot was promoting neighborhood mixed use. So we looked at expanding neighborhood mixed use FLU categories citywide, as well as expanding locational criteria for where neighborhood serving commercial uses could be integrated within the neighborhood. This summarizes some housing need, community input that we've heard. We're really hearing that a lot of folks would like missing middle housing, such as townhomes and duplexes in the city. So a proposal through this plan update that has, we've gotten a lot of feedback on, was adding single family attached housing, which is a fancy way of saying townhomes, in the residential 10 designation. It's broadly allowed today. This is the language today, and I've highlighted where it says limited townhomes and duplexes in that land use category. It does not specify exact locations for these uses. It just kind of generally encourages them through a separate policy on the periphery of established single family neighborhoods. So through this update, we took a look at that and thought maybe we should create some criteria so that way folks know exactly where this housing type could be developed in this future land use category. And we came up with a collector or higher classified roadway adjacent to a parcel with higher density FLU category or located within a transit ready corridor boundary. So 1 block off of Kennedy would be an example, or a collector roadway would be on Cypress would be another example. We've had a lot of feedback on this. I do expect this to maybe evolve throughout the outreach process. We're gonna be meeting with neighborhood groups and a special meeting in each council district this summer. And so if anybody has any feedback on this, please come see me after the meeting or through questions. I'd love to hear it. Another item that we're working through is the coastal high hazard area policy updates. The current adopted objective for the coastal high hazard area just says that there should be no net increase in overall residential density within the coastal high hazard area, which has been interpreted to mean a plan amendment. Because that really, that is what increases the net density increase. Through working with the city very closely and with stakeholders, on April 7th, Planning Commission staff brought this revised policy to the Planning Commission. Because the Planning Commission would need, and obviously needs to vote on the flu before it goes to City Council. The language was that plan amendments should be prohibited in the coastal high hazard area. The Planning Commission asked us to come back on May 12th, revising that policy. And so the last column is what staff came back with on May 12th, just making it a little, removing the word prohibited, but still being very strong that that this is really not something that should occur. And again, I apologize. We are missing a not in the proposed policy on May 12th. It should say shall not increase the maximum residential density for residential density. Yeah, significant, right? I apologize. Coastal development areas are areas that the staff identified, again, working closely with the city and our stakeholders, as areas that are in the CHHA, but we do expect growth because they might have secondary planning. All of the CRA, community redevelopment areas, have secondary planning that's calling for growth, even though a lot of them are in the coastal high hazard area. Think about Channel District. That's in the coastal high hazard area. Or downtown, or those are probably the two best examples. Portions of East Tampa and West Tampa, I think, are also in it. So you have some areas where there's a little bit more flexibility on the growth that the city that we would anticipate. That's because those areas have the special plans and special funding structure to create that resilient development pattern. On May 12th, the Planning Commission, on April 7th, the Planning Commission asked us to take a further look at these areas and add the West Shore Business District as a coastal development area, citing the fact that they have a special services district, so they have their own funding source to pay for that resilient infrastructure and improvements for to help with the mitigation and shelter or evacuations. And then on May 12th, the Planning Commission made another motion to add Rocky Point. Previously, Rocky Point was not a coastal development area due to its unique circumstances of the island, but on May 12th, the Planning Commission asked staff to add that in and bring that forward to Tampa City Council. Is everybody confused yet? So, this is the coastal development areas map as proposed based on the changes directed by the Planning Commission. As you can see, the green are the coastal development areas. Green is coastal high hazard area. The red is coastal development areas. We need to update this to add Rocky Point based on that motion. Staff has also identified an area just north of McDill. I know it's kind of hard to see on the map. It has some remnant light industrial parcels that are on single family detached lots in the coastal high hazard area. We would like that area to have the ability to ask for a plan amendment. We see that transitioning to residential over the years. There's more policy direction, finding existing direction related to the port and the Air Force Base. The biggest change here is an industrial preservation map to identify the areas for protection. Right now, the plan has a very sweeping generalization that we need to protect all industrial in the city. In a place like Fowler, that might not be what the vision is. And so we needed some direction, and so that way when staff receives these plan amendments, there's a little bit more direction and a better way we can explain it to council. This is the proposed industrial preservation map. When staff created this, they took into account anything in the Port Activity Center, anything that we would see long-term, still retaining that industrial that's on our rail line. You'll notice that the Tampa Industrial Park up on Fowler is not on the preservation map. So that's a big policy shift proposed for this update. Enhancing historic preservation, not a lot changed here. It's maintaining the protections for the historic districts, and we really streamlined a lot of this language. And that's my last slide. So next steps, we're having outreach throughout the summer. So far I have one district meeting in Jam Library set. I can get the date after this meeting. It's in the first week of August. We are looking at setting one meeting for each district, so we're still working through that. That was the direction of the City Council on May 22nd. To work with the district, with each council member on setting a meeting in each district, as well as working with the neighborhoods. So as neighborhoods request meetings, I've been working on setting this up this summer as well. Yes, Steve. Yes.
Okay, didn't hear you call.
Oh, David, did you have a question?
Oh, yes. Didn't have a question. I just wanted to give Jennifer a shout out. She has been living, breathing, her and her team have been living and breathing this, probably waking up with nightmares for the last like 3-4 years when this process started. She's the team has really struck a balance because, as you can imagine, we're getting a lot of feedback from neighborhoods, we're getting a lot of feedback from developers, and they've really done, I think, an excellent job in balancing out the needs of the city, the needs that the state is requiring us to plan for this type development. We do get a lot of feedback from citizens of, well, just don't plan for it, and all these people won't come. And, so there is an educational component that we've been also trying to educate the citizens about, that are legal requirements. But Jen and her team have done a fantastic job, and we're really getting close, I think, to the end of the process here with the meeting, hopefully in August. So that's all I wanted to say. Great job, Jen.
Thanks, David. And let me add to, I think it was the loss of the presentation. On May 22nd, the City Council was scheduled to transmit this to the state. They requested us to do more outreach. And so we're hoping that transmittal will take place on August 28th. And so that's the next review by City Council. So that's encouragement between May 22nd and August 28th. More outreach, more meetings like this. I see 2 hands. I'm not sure, Connor, what you facilitate. Yeah.
Could you talk about coordination with school planning? One of the comments that I have heard a lot is concerns about overcrowding in schools. And while I understand this is like a 20-year plan, not a tomorrow plan, and I think that sometimes gets a little lost. Where the school district is planning to put schools, planning to grow schools, planning to change schools to a magnet or different kind of program, isn't something that, say, City of Tampa has any control over. So how did you incorporate that information? Is that incorporated?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are required to update, there's a school element of the plan. That's going to be updated when I believe that and David, please chime in. I believe that we're working through the school district is working through finalizing an interlocal agreement with the jurisdictions, and we're involved in that process. And so once that's finalized, it would update the school element of the comprehensive plan. The school board has been involved in these reviews, and we do have that ex officio member set on the planning commission, and we've been briefing her as well. But that is something that I think we're required to, and there's a state requirement that has to be planned for. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Jen, I loved all of the comments, David's and Emily's too. because things don't move very quickly and in transportation, long range planning and in land use, but for things that happen, maybe like Brightline, or we get some kind of, I know that the comprehensive plan doesn't get updated very often, but there are amendments, like if something amazing happens and we've got this influx of public money, private money or whatever investments we get, because I think that a robust transit would really help those citizens and communities to feel a little more comfortable with all with the density coming up. I love it. But you know, without good transit and options for that. So do you see that, how would the comprehensive plan change if there was
If there was actual fixed guideway transit in the city? It's a great question. So we worked closely with a lot of our staff on the TPO on crafting that. We're calling it the trigger language. So when the transit supportive development areas bonus, the long way of saying TOD, would kind of be activated, there's a list of criteria in that policy. So when we do see that transit kind of come online, or before, I think a little bit before the planning stage, that's when that bonus could be kind of utilized in that boundary area. It's a great question. We have been hearing some comments about chicken and egg, right? It's very challenging, I know, and a lot of folks are more concerned about the bonuses along the corridors, because those do back up to neighborhoods. So we're taking that into consideration as well. But like you said, very good point. This is a 20-30 year plan, and we have to think about what the city will have in the horizon here.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate being invited.
All right, next we have old business and new business. Does anyone have any new business to share? All right, and that is adjournment. Thank you, everyone.
Good job.
Thank you. And I have parking passes as well. There's. Absolutely.